Hello everybody and Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025, the brand new year. Obviously I'm sneakily filming this a bit ahead of time. If it's New Year's Day right now, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm hopefully just resting. But at the moment, as it stands, it's just before Christmas and I have come up to my mum's house in the north where I'll be spending Christmas. And I am surrounded by lots of her books. I'm lucky to come from a very crafty family, so I'm surrounded by lots of knitting supplies down here. Me and my mum have spent a huge amount of time watching things like the Portrait Artist of the Year, Landscape Artist of the Year, the Great Pottery Throwdown, whilst knitting on the sofa in our pyjamas. It's very much a vibe in this house, which I am very much enjoying. And I did that typical thing of as soon as you kind of go somewhere for Christmas or you stop a little bit for Christmas, you get cold. So I've got a bit of a sniffly voice going on, you might notice, and I might be a little bit sniffly, but I'm past the worst of it. I'm feeling so much better. I've just got that voice where hopefully you actually get loads of sympathy, but you don't feel too bad. So it's a bit of a win-win here. I'm fine with that. But my mum has gone out for the day for some Christmas lunch with some pals, and I've been left alone, and I thought, it's the perfect time to film the Queen's speech. So if you don't know, Lisa started this tradition many years ago to do a little bit of a roundup of what's been going on in So Over It and everything surrounding that, and a bit of a roundup for the year, just as the Queen did and the King now does. Obviously ours is a much higher calibre than theirs, but you know, what can you do? What can you do? So I'm going to have a little chat through the year, some things that have happened at So Over It and for me, and how it's all been really. And there has kind of been one big theme to 2004 that you've probably heard quite a lot from a lot of other small businesses as well, is that it has been a really tough year for small businesses. And it's kind of not surprising, is it? If you kind of look at the world, it's such a tough time economically, such a tough time for the world in general, that is obviously reflecting through all of our lives. And it has also been the first full year that I have been in charge of So Over It. So I think it's fair to say that it has been a challenge. And what has been quite challenging for me, I think, is that I learned a lot of what I learned about So Over It in a very different sort of economic climate, as it were, and it is almost like managing and running a brand new business. There's lots of things to learn, and there's lots of things that don't behave in the same way that I thought they behaved. So there's been a lot of chopping and changing of decisions, being able to kind of move with how everything in the economy is moving and making sure that we're still standing, and we definitely still are, which is wonderful. But it has been a challenge, and I think as I said, you'll hear that a lot. And I think it's very important to say that I completely empathise with every other small business owner out there, in that we're not here to make $1 million, but we are trying to make the best of this situation, and in a really selfish way, to be able to continue doing these jobs that we really love, and for everyone we work with as well, to make sure that they can continue doing these jobs that they love. And the fact that we are here is testament to our own hard work, but it's also a massive thank you to all our customers, because you're the only reason that we exist, really. We could have all these wonderful ideas and shout about all these things, but if no one bought them, we wouldn't be here. So I think that the first thing to say is a massive thank you to everyone that's supported us through the past years, but especially through this year as well. Obviously, I personally am so incredibly grateful, because I know people that have continued to support us have not taken a risk, but they've taken a chance on me running So Over It, and on the team as well, and what we're doing with the company now. And we're so grateful for your support, and we're so happy when we see, I think we say it a lot, like when you see pictures popping up of new patterns of the way people have run with what we've produced, and then they're so happy with what they've made. Honestly, it's the best. It's really the best. So despite it being a tough year, there are so many overwhelming positives, and I think that the majority of those positives come from this lovely community that we're in. And I'd hope that my fellow small business owners feel the same as well. So what have we been up to this year? A lot. I would say that learning how to run Sew Over It with Lisa. There's obviously all the official ins and outs of running a business, and the spreadsheets and the admin, but the one thing she taught me most was to go at full speed, which I have carried on really, and we are hoping to sort of slow down a little bit this coming new year. And Chloe said to me, yeah, but you'll find us something else to do, you'll find more things for us to do. And like, yeah, I probably will. But that's the fun, isn't it? That's the fun. So we started off this year, I've got my notes down here, got my notes and a cup of tea, with Margot, the Margot dress, which was a lovely raglan sleeve fitted dress to bring in the new year. She's very pretty, she's very elegant, and that was a lovely start to the new year because it was one of those dresses that could be nice and casual, but also you could really glam it up. I love, there's one version, Chloe's, with the sheer sort of overlay, which is just, oh, delightful, delightful. And then I think the second pattern of the year, just relaxing in now, was one of my favourites. This is a Xanthi skirt. So I've had my eye on these longer denim skirts for so long. But I think what I really love doing with sewing patterns is, of course, the point of sewing is you can go the extra mile, you can do something a little bit different. And what I wanted to do was something a little bit different with the front pockets, and just have something that stands out, that says, hey, maybe I didn't buy this from a shop, maybe this is a little bit special. And I did these lovely inset pockets in Xanthi, and I think that was the start of me. I felt like a turning point in terms of designing patterns, in terms of suddenly thinking like, oh my goodness, I can not do what I want with this, but I can run with it, and I can give people the opportunity to have things in something they wear that they'll be proud of, or that will look a little bit different, look a bit like cool and interesting, but also because I am a self-confessed sewing geek, geek in every single way, you'll learn a bit too. So there's always something to learn in the patterns as well. And so Xanthi came out in March, I think. So we didn't have a pattern in February. This is the first year for a while we've not done 12 patterns as well, which has worked a lot better for us as a team in terms of our schedule. And we are going to carry on in that route, not doing a pattern every month this coming year as well, because it's just a lot. And hopefully there's other ways that we can provide products and provide interesting content as well without producing so much new stuff. So Xanthi came out just before the Stitch Festival. So this is one of the shows we do in Angel in March time. And Stitch Festival was really good fun. I think it went pretty well this year. It's always so nice because it's the time of year that we get to see other small business pals that we don't often see, especially those that are outside of London. In the spirit of honesty, some things went down that didn't go quite as well. In that, for the first time ever in my whole life, I rented a hire van. So instead of getting a van man to come and help us move all the stuff, it worked out a little bit cheaper, and I'm happy driving a van, or I was. So we hired a van and we did all the sort of lifting ourselves, and I kept the van for the week. If you know, the Business Design Centre in Angel, it has a car park underneath which can fit vans in, but my goodness is it tight. And on the first day, we unpacked the van, dropped everything off. I went to park the van and I got it too tight round one of those big concrete pillars that are in a sort of multi-storey car park. And my goodness, that was stressful. And it was just one of those times where, I don't know if it applies to other things other than driving as well, but you're sort of like, I don't know what to do here that won't cause more damage. And I just sat there for a little bit, and then the kind of some angel from the skies, but you know, in multi-storey car parks you often have those car washes where you can leave your car if you're like going off and doing shopping or something. This guy came over from the car wash and he was saying, I've got you. Do this, do that. Got me out of the situation. He then walked me round. So I was in the car and he walked round the car park the opposite way round, just because the exit was a lot bigger. he walked round ahead, made sure no one was coming, got me to a parking space, sorted me out, and he was just like this angel of a man that came down to help me in a very stressful situation. So I knew the girls had all the stuff in the design centre. They were busy putting up shelves. They needed an extra pair of hands. I was stuck in this car park. I was wedged around a concrete pillar. I mean, it was very slow, this is not a high speed disaster or anything like that. But the bonus was that when I came back on the last day, when we break down and take everything away, I've been gearing myself up all week to be like, I've got to go in this car park again. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. I know what I'm doing. I know how not to get in that situation. And I came in and the same bloke was there and he did the same thing. And he was like, oh, it's you. I recognise you. Yeah, come this way. And then because he was a car wash man as well, he also helped clean the side of the car where I'd scratched it so that when I took it back, it didn't look as devastatingly horrendous. It only looked a little bit horrendous. So yes, thank you so much, Mr. Car Wash Man from the Business Design Centre. Fantastic. So that did mar my view of the Business Design Centre, of that of the Stitch Festival, sorry, a little bit, but otherwise it was a delight and it was so much fun it always is so much fun just to meet people and see people. My favourite thing is when people come over and they're so proud of what they're wearing and I'm so proud of them, and it's so lovely to see different people in different patterns of ours, but also just to see the entire sewing community. Like I said, it's just so nice to have all our pals in one room. It's great. So Stitch Festival happened. We had Maeve, a lovely blouse, after that we released. And alongside all of these, we've been doing obviously tutorials on Stitch School, and we've also been doing bigger classes as well. So we had an intro to couture techniques class with Julie, which was just like, so fancy, and has like genuinely changed, I think, the way that I sew, particularly the way that I press. She goes through a lot of pressing techniques and just her natural way of pressing clothes when she's making them. It's just so much better than I'd been doing. So I've taken so much on board from that, and that is on our premium Stitch School membership. And we also released this year, one of the biggest releases this year was one of the patterns that we graded up. So this was a pattern that was in our 8 to 20 size range, is now in our 6 to 30, so our full size range, and that was the Leah dress. And the Leah dress originally came out in one of Lisa's magazines back in the day. Maybe it must be like 4 or 5 years ago now. And it's just such a beautiful dress. It was designed based around one of the characters from a Bond film, and it's buttoned down. I'll stick a photo in, I don't need to describe it, but it's just such a gorgeous dress, and it's one that the whole team loved, and we know other people love, and it seemed such a shame that it wasn't available in our full range of sizes. So we decided to give that like the whole sew over it treatment, grade it up, new samples. We also did a new Stitch School workshop for it, so that means that anyone with a Stitch School subscription just got the pattern immediately and got a whole workshop where I go through all of the sewing process, but there's also stuff about fitting in there as well, so you get like the fitting bits that are relevant to that pattern. And that was such a hit. We loved seeing people's Leahs out there, and actually we all 4 of us made one and talked through all the sort of fitting we did and all the choices we'd made, and it was such a nice like celebration of a pattern. I think there's so many in our library, as it were, that kind of get overlooked because there are so many, and it was so nice to give Leah a chance to shine. So we also had, I'm looking at our summer patterns now, we had the Natalia dress, which is really favourite summer dress of mine. I'm not a really sort of strappy summer dress person, but Natalia with like the optional bow at the back really just got my interest. There was something about it that I enjoyed designing it, where it felt summery and light and feminine, but it just appealed to me in the way that it could come across as quite simple, or it could come across as quite sort of soft, feminine, floaty as well. And then our next one, which is just like, this sort of pattern was right up my street. It's something that's been in my head forever and ever, and now I have the luxury of being able to make it into a pattern, which is great. was the Winona jumpsuit, which is the sort of thing that I live in summer, sort of slightly oversized, easy chuck on jumpsuit, wide legs. You can tie it in with the tie if you want, or you can leave it wide. I have great pride in this being the pattern that Alma sort of was happy to wear without a belt or without cinching it in, because she loves like a fitted silhouette, but she actually loved the wide silhouette, and I was very pleased with that, so woohoo. But I think the response to Winona as well was very well received, and that was such a nice thing for me to see, that people liked what I liked and what I'm doing, and gave me a lot of confidence going forward in the sort of things that I'll be designing by myself and with the team and bringing out as well, which is really exciting, and then such a nice sort of bit of recognition to be like, oh, okay, yeah, we're on the right track here, we're doing good things, which is always lovely. And then later in the year, in terms of patterns, we had Carly, which is, I think, possibly top 2. I think Winona's been my favourite of the year. Okay, so favourites, I think Winona, Xanthi and Carly were my dream patterns of the year, and they kind of fit. You'd wear them at different times, apart from my Carly with my Winona? No, with my Xanthi a lot, and that's been a winner. I think Carly, because she was so simple, but she's got this collar that adds a little bit more, but she's so easy to wear. That's it. It's not that it's simple, it's that she's so easy to chuck on in the morning, and you kind of feel put together. And it's a bit like a style that I'm wearing now, because it's jersey as well. It's so comfy. Looks a lot fancier than it is. That is like my dream outfit. So Carly was fantastic. We added a roll neck add-on to the ultimate t-shirt. So now the ultimate t-shirt is basically every single t-shirt in the world, all in one. And in October, so in time with the knit and stitch, we released the Lorna pinafore as well, because one of the questions that we get asked the most, especially when we go to these shows, is if we have a pinafore, and now we do. So it felt long overdue that Sew Over It should come out with a pinafore pattern, and of course it's done in the kind of classic Sew Over It style, is that it is definitely a grown-up pinafore. It's something you can wear with a shirt underneath very easily, or the roll neck really well. But you can also have some fun with it as well. So Alma's got a leopard print one. I'm definitely going to make a plain denim one for be more casual. So it kind of works. It's a bit of a transitional one. But I think the shape, we didn't want to go with that classic like bib and strap pinafore. So this is a faux wrap, and then you've got like a straight wrap, or you've got a nice like notch detail here, which makes it a little bit more contemporary as well. And we were really pleased to see how well received that was at the Knit and Stitch show, which was lovely. Speaking of the Knit and Stitch, we had a lot of things go on. So for the first time, me and Alma went on the stage to talk about the big sew off, which I'll talk about a bit later, which was exciting though. We had like these little Britney mics, you know, the little mics that just come down here, so it felt very fancy. We were on first slot on Sunday morning, so I'm not going to say it was the busiest, and I think there are different slots that would have got us a few more people there, but it was such a great experience to do. I was slightly worried before that we wouldn't have enough to talk about. Turns out that was not a problem. As you can probably tell from this and from other vlogs, that I should have seen that wasn't going to be a problem. But it was really good fun, and it was nice to talk to people. It was nice to get out on stage and get some awareness of the big sew off as well. As with our other show earlier in the year, we had a mini disaster, but it was all solved. So usually we set up the day before the show. So the show starts on a Thursday, we usually set up on the Wednesday, but it's a lot of heavy lifting, it's a lot of manual labour, and quite often you come into the show on the Thursday and you're a bit knackered and you're a bit achy, and we discovered that you can set up on the Tuesday. And so Jemima, who I do the setup with, we were talking, we were like, well, let's just try it out. It gives you one less day to prepare in the office, but it would give us that one day in between to sort of rest a little, get on top of things. If we hadn't finished setting up on the Tuesday, then we'd have time to go in and like faff around and tart things up on the Wednesday. Why not give it a go? And my God, thank goodness we did. because we got there on the Tuesday. Excuse me, we got everything into the hall, lots of heavy lifting. We put the shelves up, shelves that have been with us for years. We started loading up the shelves. We got so many patterns to put on the shelves, and it was literally, so the shelves were full. They were all against a back wall. They were all secure. Absolutely full. Jemima shouted over, going like, Rosie, can you just fit the carry pattern on the shelves? I've just got one more bit to put on. And I looked at it and the shelves were full. I was like, yeah, no problem. Bring them over. And I went like that to squish up the patterns so there'd be a bit for this, literally the last thing we were putting on the shelves. And the entire lot of shelves, this is like 4 or 5 that are all connected, all fell on the floor with like the biggest noise you have ever heard. One of those noises, everyone in the hall, everyone in Alexandra Palace turned around to look. And I'm quite surprised that there were no tears. Jemima and I, it was more of a stunned silence. I think we're both very pragmatic when it comes to this. Neither of us flap very much, which is why she's so great to do these things with. We just had maybe a minute, just stood there, taking in what had happened, and then we were like, right, okay then. And had to take all the patterns off the shelves, try and keep them in order, because obviously they were all in alphabetical order. Try and keep them in order in a space that's like no bigger than a few meters square, that's full of other stuff, because, you know, we put the patterns on the shelves so we could get other stuff out of the boxes now. No, not yet. Then take the shelves apart. Also, this was maybe about 5:45 on the Tuesday evening, and you had to be out of the building at 6 o'clock. So thankfully, 2 blokes from the hall that were helping out came and helped us and took them off, and they were so kind, and also they were really helpful in that they were like asking us where we wanted to put everything. They're like, I've got Estelle 6 to 20, where do you want that? And we were like, okay, over there. I'm like, oh, I've got Farah, where do you want that? So they were really helpful in like keeping everything organised. And that night I had to go around looking for shelves, and luckily I found some very, very sturdy shelves, and was able to bring them back early the next morning, because thank goodness we built in that extra day, and we had new shelves. And then we've got very, very strong, extra strong shelves from Halfords that are like those ones that I think mechanics have in their garages for very heavy stuff. And we're like, is it good enough for patterns? But you know, a lot of patterns weighs a lot, so you need the sturdy shelves. Once that disaster had been averted, the knit and stitch was lovely. And as I said, we did our stint on the stage, which was fab. Lorna was really well received. We had some gorgeous samples out. We kind of changed the way we did things at that show a little bit, and that went well as well. That worked out the way we wanted it to. So it was all in all a fab time. It was really, really nice. The only weird thing was that later that year, so this is Alexandra Palace, I went to a gig in Alexandra Palace, and it is so weird being in that building when you're not surrounded by sewing people, and you're just in a big hall listening to music. It's absolutely bizarre. But yes, that show went very, very well. And then we had last couple of patterns. So we've had Heti in November, which is a gorgeous little swing dress, sort of trapeze dress. So it's quite fitted around here, and then you've got loads of volume and loads of swing, but with ties at the back, so it can sort of cinch in at your waist a little bit. And it's gone down really well, which I was so pleased with, because it's just sort of like a quick party dress. It's that sort of party dress that, I mean, you can sew it in an afternoon. There's not much fitting at all. So if you've probably got a million things like me in your wardrobe that you could wear for a Christmas party, but actually you want something new, fine, sew a Heti. And it's been really good fun. It's so much fun for like swirling around in. So yeah, Heti's been a firm favourite, and last pattern of the year has been the beret, which is just one final pièce de résistance that Alma's been dreaming of. Alma makes a lot of coordinating stuff, and I think that's the joy of sewing as well, is that you can do that. And we as a company, Sew Over It, did not have a hat. We did not have a hat pattern, so the beret was born. So looking forward, 2025, which we are now in, definitely. We are, as I mentioned, continuing in the same vein that we won't be doing 12 pattern releases. We're trying to keep things in line with sort of the pace that we want to go at, and we'll be doing less pattern releases. We're going to have a mix of garments and accessories like this year. And we've photographed up to May already, which is just amazing. And hopefully at the moment our pattern insiders are squirreling away sewing January's pattern, because that's been sent out to them, and there should be some really nice versions. So I will say that I think there are 3 versions, maybe 4. I'm going to say it's jersey. It's the quickest thing to make, so it's a really nice thing for January if you're not feeling like you want to spend loads of time sewing, but you want something new, you want something cozy and comfy. But also in some ways it could still be like quite nice and elevated as well. Lots of clues there, I don't know if they made sense. But still lots of new patterns coming, as always. That is our bread and butter. The other very, very exciting thing is that we have officially started work on our next ebook, which I am really excited about, slightly nervous about, because obviously it's our first ebook as me in charge, and that is a big undertaking when ones in the past have been so popular and well loved, and I really hope this one is as well. So it won't be coming out until later in the year, but it will be another capsule wardrobe collection. So another collection of patterns that all work interchangeably with each other, and hopefully it's a lot of very, very wearable pieces that reflect a lot of what the sort of things that I like to wear, the sort of things the team like to wear. I'm going to try. I'm not going to give any more away. But I'm sitting down with Julie, who you will know from Sew Over It times past and present, to go through all the patterns in the new year to really kick things off. And there is one pattern that it's coming off the back of stuff that I have sort of hacked and made myself, and I'm on my 3rd iteration of it, and I'm wearing it non-stop. So there's definitely some really good things in there. The other thing that we're going to be spending a lot of time on is Stitch School as well, because we've been seeing Stitch School grow and grow over the years, and it is such a fantastic resource, and we feel like there's so much there that people go for in terms of learning, in terms of patterns as well, because there's something, I think there's maybe like over 33 patterns now available if you sign up to Stitch School, but also having, like we did with Leah this year, and also with, forgotten Amelia, we sized up Amelia as well, the jacket. There's so much dedicated help for these patterns on Stitch School, so we're going to be doing a lot more of that as well. That's going to be a real focus of our attention, and making sure that Stitch School subscribers get the most from their subscriptions as well. But new stuff aside, there are 2 things that we're saying goodbye to as well. So one of them you will already know about, and that is that we have waved a solemn goodbye to the VIP club this year. So it's been such a wonderful thing to have VIP club, formerly known as PDF club, over the last 7 or 8 years. But things are changing in Sew Over It, to be honest, and we are looking at the way we work as a team and how we get stuff done in the background, and we thought maybe it's time for a change. And one of those changes is that 2024 was the last year of VIP Club, but that doesn't mean to say that there aren't exciting things and new ways that you can be part of Sew Over It to come, because my goodness, there is nothing we want more than everyone to just be in the gang, really. So there'll be more stuff to come, more new exciting things to pop up, and we'll be developing that over the year and into 2026 as well. So obviously keep your eyes peeled. But also, we always felt really that we have VIP club, but everyone's in the club at Sew Over It. So as long as you're sort of listening on here or commenting on things, we just absolutely love it. We love that interactivity. We love seeing what's going on in your lives as well as ours. So let's not say VIP Club is ending. Let's just say we're just including everyone in it. Just honorary VIP Club members now. And then the one thing I haven't talked about is the big sew-off. So we had the big sew-off again this year, which was in November. So the big sew-off we've done for 3 years now, raises money for Mind, the mental health charity, and then we also sew things and we donate them to Give Your Best. And there's details, I'll put details below about what they do and a link to their website. And the main part of the big sew-off was that we would do a 24-hour sew-along. Sew-a-thon. 24-hour sew-along would be even more intense. 24-hour sew-a-thon, so there'd be a group of us that would stay up for 24 hours and sew, and that was always came from the idea that that would be sort of like a big challenge. You know how they might have like Red Nose Day challenges or Children in Need challenges, and that's what raises money. And it certainly did. So we've done it over 3 years, and that has raised over £30,000 for Mind, which is just incredible. That's like, if that is an amount of money that changes things, that helps, and that is like, obviously we do these challenges and stuff, but that is all down to people donating, so we cannot say thank you enough for that support. However, in terms of logistics of running the event, it does take a toll on us, and we have to admit that as a small business with not many people and limited resources, the amount of organisation and cost that goes into running an event is then can be detrimental to our everyday lives of running the business. Also the stress really around making sure it's a success, and there's something more about the stress of doing something for charity rather than doing it for ourselves that is greater, like you feel a greater sense of responsibility. And we sat down and talked as a team, the 4 of us, after this year's event, and we have decided that we won't be doing the 24-hour sew-a-thon again, or we won't be organising it. That is not to say that the big sew-off in general as an annual thing will not happen. It just will be in a very different form, and obviously this is months away, but we've been talking about how maybe it is a day where we encourage everyone to sit down and sew with their mates, or sit down and sew on your own, but think about sewing, think about mental health, maybe on your own time, make a donation to Mind. We will encourage that. And of course, if all these other people that have been involved still want to do big crazy things and stay up all night and raise loads of money, we are 100% behind that, but that's sort of not the aspect that we'll be taking from the event. So there will be more to come from the big sew-off, but it just won't be the 24-hour live stream of us staying up all night going forward. We cannot thank the people enough that have been involved, and especially this year we definitely saw more people taking up the reins. So we had sort of like Sandeep from System Intaka, who was in Coventry, I think, had her own hub. They stayed up 24 hours as well, which is absolutely amazing. We had all the people that came and sewed with us at the new craft house, which was fantastic. And it was, I felt, one of the first year it felt like it had its own sort of like momentum to keep it going. And that's sort of how we were able to make the decision that we would not be doing that personally again, because we believe that there is momentum in the community now to keep this going in its own way. And I think what we've always encouraged everyone else to do at home is to get involved, but you don't have to do 24 hours. You do the big sew-off in your own way, and we're taking our own advice, and that will just make things a little bit easier on us next year. But we still will definitely be doing something. We still will be definitely be encouraging donations to Mind and thinking about how sewing impacts your mental health, hopefully for the better. But it'll just be in a slightly different way. And I think that's a lot of what we've been doing here at Sew Over It, is that we've been thinking about how we work behind the scenes and how that fits in with our lives, and how we can keep doing that and commercially and keep making money and keeping our jobs, but also how we can yeah, make that work for us as well, which I think is so, so important in a time, like I said before, times are tough for everyone. So it's definitely important to be looking after ourselves as well, and obviously everyone should be looking after themselves as well. So those are the two things that we're going to be saying goodbye to. But as I said, there are so many, many more things that we're going to be saying hello to. And as always, there's probably going to be 1,000,001 different vlogs. There is going to be lots of team makes. We have introduced, or I have introduced, so we have a sewing day once a month where we can all sew together, or we can sew at home. But hopefully we'll be making a lot more to show, and we'll also be focusing a lot on what we want Sew Over It to be in the future as well. And yeah, the direction we want to go in. So it's a really exciting year. I feel like we've had this year, which has been tough, like I said, but it's made us realise what we like doing and what we want to do in the future. We're all on board together with doing a lot more exciting stuff and carrying on, and yeah, bringing a lot more exciting stuff to you guys, which is great. As always, we really, really love to hear what you think and what you want from us as well. If there are things that you would love, love, love from us that we're not bringing, or you're like, yeah, I love that and I want more, please, please tell us, because all we want to do is make really interesting products and content and interesting things for you, and that's what brings us most joy. So do let us know. Obviously we can't promise to do everything, but like I said, there'll be more patterns. It's going to be a ton of new Stitch School stuff. We're going to be grading up a couple more patterns as well, so bringing them out in the larger size ranges. Some of us, we've got one really nice Stitch School class which I'm so excited to teach, which is going to include another of our firm favourite patterns that needs to be brought up into the full size range. It's going to be so much new stuff, but please do let us know if there's anything in particular you've got your heart set on or you'd love to see more of. So I'm going to leave you now and say the last thing really is, again, to say thank you for the last year to everyone, to obviously my wonderful team, but also all our customers as well, and our sewing pals in the sewing world. I mentioned that it has been a tough year, and it has, but I've never once questioned that this was 100% the right thing to do, and I'm so happy and so proud to be the person that's looking after Sew Over It, and long may that continue. So I hope you all have a wonderful New Year's Day, I should say, and enjoy the rest of your holidays if you've got a bit more, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye.